Hello bookworms, I'm Hannah, and this is part 6 of my Bailey's Women's Prize video series in which I review all 16 of the books that were longlisted for this year's prize. If you missed the first 5 parts of this series, I'll provide links to those videos down below. I've been going over the long list in order from least to top favorite. Today I am talking about number 2 on the list, The Lonely Hearts Hotel by Heather O'Neill, one of the most wonderfully strange and delightfully melancholy books I have read in a good long while. This book pairs historical fiction with magical realism in the story of 2 orphaned babies born in Montreal in 1914 who grow up to be a talented dancer and a prodigy pianist. Together they dream of one day creating the most provocative circus the world has ever seen. Eee! Before I get into this book, I first want to point out that some readers may be uncomfortable with or take offense to this book's subject matter, particularly the first 100 pages or so where there's a fair amount of child molestation and rape. If those are triggers for you, or if you just don't want to read about that, then this may not be the book for you. The story opens with the birth of Pierrot, who is born blue and presumed dead. The passage where he comes out of his state of near death with a priest at his bedside will give you an idea of how the writing style and tone of this book are both freakish and fantastic. It reads, "Then, strangely and surreally, the boy's penis began to rise straight up. And then the baby coughed out a cry, color began to appear in his skin, and his limbs twitched. The erection had brought him back from the dead. The priest wasn't sure whether he was witnessing a miracle. Was this the work of God, or was it the work of the devil?" Then we have Rose, whose name is derived from the bright spots of red that grace her cheeks as a baby. She and Pierrot form an immediate bond at the orphanage. These two are drawn together as though by fate or magic. They are children born to hardship in oppressive conditions, but they remain imaginative and spirited because the only sense of autonomy these two have is found in their freedom to dream. Their friendship is solidified by the orphanage sending them out to the homes of wealthy Montreal residents to perform in exchange for money that the orphanage pockets. Pierrot plays the piano while Rose dances, and the two entrance everyone in the room. They're described as being so in sync that the audience cannot discern if she's dancing to his music or he's playing along to her dancing. Pierrot and Rose are forced to go their separate ways as teenagers and then strive to find one another again as adults when life has moved them to the city's sleazy underbelly. Their story takes place against the backdrop of the Depression era, so this is a bleak time and setting that O'Neill infuses with just about every manner of the weird, dangerous, and sensual. This book has it all: night owls, drugs, gangsters, wicked nuns, philosophical clowns, prostitutes, pornography, flamboyant artists, and dauntless performers, just to name a few. O'Neill capitalizes on the idea of the circus by dressing her book in fanciful similes and metaphors that draw reference to this glittering underworld of death-defying feats and exotic performers. For example, when the tailor was done, there was a pile of measuring tape on the ground as if a mummy had just performed a striptease. Or, my personal favorite, there was a fishbowl by the window with 2 fancy goldfish that swam in circles, like tassels on a burlesque dancer's nipples. I can't stress enough how quirky and imaginative this book is. Through fully realized characters who exude emotional depth and wander a sorrowful, gritty setting, O'Neill explores themes of love, friendship, innocence, and deception. With the exception of one slow part and an occasionally repetitive sentence structure that one could argue was a stylistic technique intended to be rhythmic, I enjoyed this book from start to finish. If you've already read this book and you don't know about the 17th century clown named Pierrot, then you are in for a treat. I'll link to the Wikipedia page below so you can read more about him. If you haven't read this book and you're thinking of picking it up, and you should pick it up, don't read about Pierrot the clown just yet, because his story could potentially spoil the book for you. Do I think it's a travesty this book is not on the shortlist? Not necessarily. I don't know that it's a good fit for an esteemed literary prize. I do, however, think it's an incredible, unorthodox book in a category all its own that casts a wide net in terms of what types of readers it will appeal to. In short, The Lonely Hearts Hotel is a sensational drama evocative of 1940s film noir that I highly recommend. Thanks, everybody!